So, a relationship is all about foundation and the moments by moments that help you gain trust, that help you feel comfortable enough to say when you're hurting, to be vulnerable. It's no different when you have a relationship with God or trying to establish a relationship with God. You need to go through that whole process where you understand, okay, who is this person all about? If you don't understand who God is about, then you won't be able to feel comfortable being yourself. You won't be able to feel comfortable crying before God and being vulnerable, because you're going to expect him to be this judgmental person that's going to doom you to hell when you have sinned. You're going to feel you can't be open enough with God to say, okay, I'm hurting. God, I'm broken. God, I don't understand what you're doing right now in my life, but I still have faith in you. I still know you're there. It starts from that moment by moment. The same goes with your parents. If you've never had the type of relationship with your earthly parents where you discuss everything, when you go through trials, when you go through tribulations, you won't turn to them. They won't be the first people thinking about, okay, let me run to my mother, let me run to my father, because I know they're going to be there. But when you have established that relationship with God, which is based by moments, by moment, then you're able to say, no matter what I'm going through in this life, or whatever I'm going through in this life, I can go back to him. I can cry to him. Whether you're the prodigal, whether you are Jonah, whether you are a David who's committed adultery, no matter what situation you find yourself in, you are able to say, my God is a God of mercy. I would rather fall into the hands of God like David, because I know that he is merciful. I know as much as, yes, God hates sin, but I know he loves me more. You will understand his love and mercy only when you have established those moments by moments with him. If you never give yourself the opportunity to know uThixo through each and every single situation and establish him in the good times and the bad, understanding him through the word, understanding him through prayer, then you will not be able to run to him. If all you have at the end of the day are church services, prayer meetings, but nothing going on when it's just the two of you, then it will be empty. That is why a lot of times when it comes to personal relationships, whether it's between your parents, whether it's between the person you're involved with, your husband, your children, if you have not established those moments over the years, you'll always turn to people, you'll always turn to things that will just leave you more broken. But if you know who God is, what you have at the end of the day, I can go back to him. So going back to the scripture that we were talking about, which was Matthew 6:27. Can anyone add a cubic of measure to his life? Can anyone add an hour to his life? Can anyone add a moment in his life? Anyone add time to his life? Has anyone ever grew taller just by worrying? So if you look at these different versions of the Bible, you can begin to start asking yourself, wait a minute, if this situation is not adding to my life, that means it's taking away. If this situation is not producing fruit, that means it's destroying something that I can never get back. Because that's the reality of situation. That's the reality of life. Every situation that you're going through, every situation that you face in this life will either bring you closer to where you're supposed to go, or it will hold you back. You are either gaining something from your pain, from your losses, or you're just losing on top of everything that you've lost. If you consider this, the fact that they say Your worrying can't add a moment to your life. That means it's taking every second that you spend wallowing, crying. I look back personally sometimes and I'm like, oh, I wasted so many years being angry with God. I wasted so many years crying. I wasted so many years worrying. Whereas if I had surrendered to God earlier, then I would have discovered everything He was trying to teach me in that situation, that as much as He was taking certain things away from my life, there were certain things that He was trying to introduce into my life, but I wasn't willing to accept them because my hands were closed and I'm saying no. I want to weep. I want to cry over everything that I've lost instead. I'm not saying don't go through the emotions, but understand one thing, that God is still in control no matter what you're going through. Understand that the pain is not meant to cripple you. Although sometimes you need to go through those crippling effects, but at the end of the day, that's not where your journey ends. If your journey was supposed to end, then you wouldn't be alive. You're alive because God is telling you there is still something on the other side of this. You're alive because God is telling you, I'm not done. So if you change your perspective and say, I'm not going to bring glory to my pain. I'm not going to focus on the pain. I'm going to focus on what God is saying to me at that moment. Then that pain has not become your God, because sometimes we don't realize it. We are allowing Chungoye to take that place of God, because instead of worshiping, praying and say, okay, God, this is what's happening to my life. Let's go. What's the solution? What you doing? Okay, what should I focus on? You lose out. So even in your losses, there's still a win if you approach that situation in a positive manner, in a godly manner, if you understand about but if all you see is this long distant person or paya just observing you, watching your life fall apart and not do anything, and just shouting him and just being angry with him. Clearly in this chair, like a rocking chair, you're going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And at the end of the day, you will find I spent all this time not doing anything in my life. Because even if you didn't get the opportunity to study further, do something else with your life. Ask God, okay, God, why did you prevent this from happening? But that doesn't mean one closed door, it's it. That doesn't mean you can't be learning, you can't be growing. Even a Naglevi situation, that's one of the things that I've learned. So ask yourself, what is this pain? What is this loss? What is the situation taking away from me right now? Because even in the midst of losses, there's always a blessing. They might be small. Even your life is a blessing. The fact that you're alive, wow. Some people didn't make it to today. Therefore, I'm going to rejoice even for my life. I'm going to rejoice even for my breath. I'm going to rejoice in the knowledge that I have family. I have things. I have people in my life. So those are the things that you're supposed to focus on and say, okay, fine, I might have lost the job, but let me use that time to build stronger relationships with my family. So ask yourself, what are you overlooking just because of loss in your life? Let me know if this is an approach that you would be interested in applying in your life. You have approached Bible study this way, but there's so much more that you gain from approaching the Bible study or reading the Bible using various methods as opposed to just reading what's just there. Anyway, stay blessed.